This is God in the Center with Matthew. So we've been in the book of Daniel for a minute, and let's see, where was we at last week? Okay, so we're going to we'll be reading out of Daniel chapter 5 today. So at this point, Nebuchadnezzar has passed away. It doesn't mention anything about it. I'm assuming he has, because it starts talking about his son. His son's the king, so Nebuchadnezzar must have passed away between chapter 4 and where chapter 5 starts. So I'm going to read. Belshazzar the king has made a feast for 1,000 of his lords and drank wine in the presence of the 1,000. While he tasted the wine, Belshazzar gave the command to bring the gold, silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the temple which had been in Jerusalem. The king had his lords, his wives, his concubines might drink from them. Then they brought the gold vessels and had been taken from the temple of the house of God which had been in Jerusalem. The king and his lords, his wives, and his concubines drank from them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and silver, bronze and iron, wood and stone. In that same hour, the fingers of a man's hand appeared and wrote opposite on the lampstand on the plaster on the wall of the king's palace. The king saw the part of the hand that wrote, and the king's conscience changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his hip were loosened, and his knees knocked against each other. The king cried out aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. The king spoke, saying that the wise men of Babylon, whomever reads this writing and tells me that his interpretation should be clothed with purple, and have a chain of gold wrapped around his neck, and he shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Now all the king's wise men came, but they could not read the writing or make known the king the interpretation of the king. Then King Belshazzar was greatly troubled, his conscience changed, and the lords were astonished. So Belshazzar decided he was going to go drink Nebuchadnezzar. This must have been what was troubling Nebuchadnezzar. You know, the stories before this was some of this gold and stuff he stole out of the temple. It didn't mention that here, but it mentioned the angel had came to him and told him that he needed to change, or the dream, the interpretation of the dream had told him, Daniel had told him that maybe if he changed his ways and was good to the poor, then some of this stuff may not happen. You know, he ended up in the field, like the wild beasts and stuff. He ended up repenting or whatever, but evidently he must have not gave this gold back. You know, so this is just passed down to the son, and now the son's asking for the soothsayers. I always ask for everybody but Daniel first. I don't understand that. I've been reading in this, and they always, when they got something to interpret, they call the soothsayers and the magicians and all this other people, and they leave Daniel out. And the son has to know who Daniel is at this point. There's no way that he doesn't. So I'm going to go to verse 10. The king, because the words, the queen, because of the words of the king and his lords came to the banquet hall, the queen spoke, saying, O king, live forever. Do not let your thoughts trouble, nor let your conscience change. There is a man in your kingdom in whom the Spirit of the Holy God, and the days of your father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, were found in him. And King Nebuchadnezzar, your father the king, made him chief of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers, inasmuch as the excellent spirit, knowledge, understanding, interpretation, dreams, solving riddles, and explanation, and the king, knowledge, understanding, interpretation, dreams, solving riddles, and explanation, knowledge, understanding, interpretation, dreams, solving riddles, and explanation, 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 dreams images were found in this Daniel, who the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will give you the interpretation. So now the queen has remembered this. The queen said, you know, your dad used to call this Daniel guy up, and this Daniel guy was supposed to be the leader. Evidently he was appointed the leader, so I don't know whether that changed or what, but I don't know why they didn't call the leader in the beginning. You know, it just didn't make sense. And we'll keep reading a little bit. Verse 13, then Daniel was brought in before the king. The king spoke and said to Daniel, are you the Daniel who is one of the captives from Judea, whom my father the king brought from Judea? I have heard of you, and the Spirit of God is in you, that the light and understanding and excellence, wisdom are found in you. Now the wise men and astrologers have been brought in before me, that they should read the writing and make known to me the interpretation, but they could not give me the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of you, and you have given interpretations and explanations, enigmas. Now, if you can read the writing and make known to me its interpretations, you shall be clothed with purple and have a chain of gold wrapped around your neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, let your gifts be for yourself, and give your rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing to the king, and make known to him the interpretation, O king, the Most High God, Nebuchadnezzar your father, a kingdom of majesty, glory, and honor, and because of the majesty that he gave him, all peoples and nations and languages trembled and feared before him. Whomever he wished, he executed. Whoever Nebuchadnezzar wished, he executed. Whomever he wished, he kept alive. Whomever he wished, he set up. And whomever he wished, he be put down. There's some people, this in rulers that just really are tyrants. And this Nebuchadnezzar guy sounded like he was a tyrant. He just went around killing whoever he wanted to kill and doing whatever he wanted to do. Is what it sounds like, and now his son's following in the same footsteps. So God will put wicked people in places at times, but the wicked always ends up falling. The wicked never gets to live the full circle. I don't know what happened to Nebuchadnezzar, but I do know he was in the wilderness at one time and he got restored, and now his son's dealing with some of this stuff too, because he's praising God. You know, he's worshiping idols. You know, we worship idols every day. We watch too much TV. We eat too much. We look at women too much. You know, we gamble. Whatever it is that you're doing too much of, you're putting an idol above the Almighty God, and He doesn't like that. So I'm gonna go to verse 20. But when his heart was lifted and his spirit was hardened in pride, he was deposed from his kingly throne, which is what I was talking about, and they took his glory from him. Then he was driven from the sons of men. His heart was made like the beast, and his dwelling was like the wild donkeys. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High God rules in the kingdom of men, and He appoints over it whomever he chooses. So God does choose. So for whatever reason, God has allowed Biden in office. I don't really know what's going on. Like I've said, I'm not trying to get this political, but you know, it's been nothing good happen. I don't know what would happen if the other candidate got in. I'll just be honest with you. I don't know where we'd be at right now. It could be going in the same direction, better, worse. I don't know. So God has taken people away and reappointed them, just like this whole thing with Trump right now. He got took out, and then he got Biden put in. Now he's running again. We don't know if he's going to get put back in or not. We don't know we don't know who's running. But this is just sort of, and this wasn't what I was really planning on speaking on. But I pray to God every time that I get up here and read this, what his interpretation means, like Daniel was interpreting the stuff. So that's what I'm getting out of this. You know, possibly Trump could be put back in, but Trump is really mouthy, prideful, arrogant. Them are not godly things. So just even if he gets put back into place, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be great. It doesn't mean it's going to be great, because you see what's happening here with, I don't know what ended up happening to Nebuchadnezzar, it doesn't say, but then his sons gets appointed, so we're going to keep reading them. Just think about that. And it could be good, who knows? But I'm not speaking for or against the man. But when but you, his son, Belshazzar, have not humbled your heart, although you knew all this. And you have lifted yourself up against the Lord of heaven. They have brought the vessels of his house before you, and your lords. Your wives and your concubines have drank wine from them. And you have praised the gods of silver and gold, bronze and iron, wood and stone, which do not see, or hear, or know, and the God who holds your very breath in his hands and owns all your ways, you have not glorified. When the fingers of the hand were sent from him, and was written. And this is the interpretation that is written. Mean, tickle up, hearken. The interpretation of each word mean God has numbered your kingdom and finished it. Tekel, you have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Pers, your kingdom have been divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Then Belshazzar gave the command, and they clothed Daniel with purple and put chain of gold around his neck and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. That very night, Belshazzar, king of the Chaldeans, was slain, and Darius the Mede received the kingdom, being about 62 years old. So, there we go. I mean, when an evil person is put in place as a ruler, there's always going to be some type of consequences for that ruler. It may not be in you may not ever even see it. You may not, but his very life was taken from him because he was such a wicked guy. He knew that he was not supposed to be drinking out of vessels because all the troubles his father went through. But his father still wouldn't give that up. So that might have been eventually what killed his father. I don't really know. His father died some kind of way. His son took over, and his son had the chance to work with Daniel, not all these other people. So I pray that y'all get something out of this like that. To be working with, you know, if you're trying to be a Christian, sort of try to stay with the Christian type crowd the best you can. And I fall short in that sometimes, like this, you know, I do. I fall short in that, and I don't stick with some of the, so this is a lesson for me more so than anything. It's like when you know that something's wicked or this person's wicked, try to stay away from them people. Because you never know what's going to get wrapped up. This guy got killed because he followed in his father's footsteps. You know? Just because you grew up a certain way doesn't mean that you had to continue the family tradition. You know, like the Hank Williams song, that's just a family tradition. No, you haven't got to follow the family tradition. God wants us to follow Him. He wants us to follow Him, and evil rulers end up getting their just deserts at the end of time. He puts them in charge, and we don't ever know why. But this guy was not praying to God and was not even thinking. He was worshiping God. He was worshiping all these idols, and he got his life took away from him that very night. So who knows what's going to happen with this election, or if you're in a situation at your job or whatever, you know, that you've got an unruly boss or whatever. I've been in situations like that, and you know, sometimes I stick it out, sometimes I don't, to see the fall, and eventually something ends up. God takes care. God does take care of the people that take care of Him, one way or another. It may not necessarily be the exact thing, that justice that you seems fair, or that you've seen, or it may even be an extreme case, like in this extreme case was this ruler got his life taken that night. You know, so somebody, so anytime you're put into a position of leadership, or you're put into a role of, like, because the king is like a leadership role, like maybe you're a supervisor, maybe you're a manager. You can sort of correlate that with this. It's not good to be wicked to the people that's under you. It's not good to be wicked to them people. It's not good to go to do things that's not of God to your team. I really try to treat everybody that works under me to the best I can, even when I have disagreements with these people. I still don't hold no grudges against nobody. You know, I like to think of myself as the Brett Favre of that, because Brett Favre was one of the best quarterbacks, but he had two records at one time. One record was the most touchdown passes, the other record was the most interceptions. What made him so great is he would still throw that ball in a place that he knows it may be intercepted, but it also may get caught. But he didn't get, he just kept striving. He kept striving and kept taking the chance on that person, saved person, the chance on that play, because that's what you gotta keep moving. You gotta keep moving. You can't give up on people, and you can't. I mean, sometimes stuff happens, and like you have to. Like sometimes you have to move on, or you have to do whatever's best for you or best for the company. Sometimes that ends up happening. As far as our country's concerned, I don't really know. I'm sort of nervous because I see all this stuff, but I'm not really nervous because God's got a plan. So whoever ends up getting, whether it's Trump or Biden or somebody else, just know that God has allowed that person in charge for whatever reason. The reason, I don't want to get into, I'm trying to not get into politics. There's all kind of different things you could look at if you really want to get down the nuts and bolts of what could be going on. I encourage you to open up the book of Daniel and pick up and read from the first chapter to the 6th chapter, maybe even the 7th chapter. I'll just pick up and read the book of Daniel. I'm fixing to get in the Lion's Den. I think the Lion's Den is going to be next week. Just open up the book and get into the book of Daniel and start doing some reading. Because some of this stuff really, the Old Testament used to be, I didn't think I got as much out of it, but now I get a lot more out of the Old Testament than I used to. And just believe that God's in charge. If you're going through some struggles at your job or in life, just know that it will pass, and it may not be in the favor you want it to be. I'm talking to myself on all this. Sometimes stuff just isn't fair, and we don't know why it happens. We don't know why God allows us to go through certain storms, and why God allows such injustices to happen to certain people. I have to try not to question that, because I've been, I've been in that, like, questioning God, why is this happening, why is that happening? This lesson is really for myself, because, I'm really talking about myself and not like anybody in particular. God has given me, I've read the first two, and then I got in this, and I don't know why I went to Daniel, but it's a really deep thing. And all I know is that Meshach, Rashach, and Abednego had such faith, they jumped into the fiery furnace. And then Nebuchadnezzar got chopped down for not doing. He had a whole year to decide what he was going to do. Whether he was going to change his ways or keep being evil and being evil to his servants and to his people. He had a year of that. God chopped him down and put him in the woods, and he was in the woods for a year, the fields or whatever, and was eating grass. Then somehow he got back, because he cried out to God and acknowledged that God was the God of everything, and acknowledged that he had that he was in charge. God put him back in power, and it doesn't say how he died. I might need to do some more research, but I didn't read where he died. But then it goes into his son, and his son was going down the same road, and guess what? He lost his life that night. He didn't get a year of warning. So sometimes you'll get a little warning and get to be wicked all you want to be for a certain amount of time. Sometimes you do a wicked thing and it gets took from you just like that. So I try to stay out of all that wickedness and that evil, deceitful stuff. I try to really stay out of that. I've never really been involved in like just evil, deceitful stuff. I mean, maybe I have did some. I'm sure I've done some stuff that wasn't kosher, because I mean every one of us sinned. But outright just evil, I don't think I've ever just been outright evil in like out to do something to harm somebody. I have thoughts, but I haven't actually just carried anything out. I've never carried anything malice out. And I try not to keep hate in my heart. Even when somebody really does me wrong, I still try to look at them with the love that God looks at us, because we do God wrong every day of our life. So we have to give that same thing to our neighbor, our brother, our co-workers, our bosses. So I don't know, it's just this world is really wicked right now, and just pray that if you have not decided to take that step into like becoming a Christian, to being saved and being filled with the Holy Spirit, I pray that you reach out to me or reach out to your local church and get baptized immediately. Arise and be baptized. That's what Ananias told Saul of Tarsus. And it changed his life. It'll change your life as long as you keep staying down that path. Some people do it for show. But if you really do mean it, and you really do want to change, then you'll stay in this book, which I failed at for many years. I'll get in and out of doing good with this. And this is the only way that I can stay involved in. That's why I read so much, like I tell you, because some people that's watching these videos, that may be all the reading they get. So I do encourage, if you're not a big reader, then to keep watching this show, because I do at least give you a chapter worth of reading once a week. That's better than nothing. That's better than nothing. Some preachers will preach on a couple of verses and they just run off on their own whatever. I don't know how you can preach for an hour on 3 verses, but I guess you can. I pray I'd never get to be that. I pray I'd never get to do that. I pray I never am ever that guy. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it, because evidently God's got him up there doing it, But I choose this because I do want people to actually hear the Word and be fed with the Word, and then you know, me do the best I can at interpreting what I get out of it. You may disagree or not agree, but there's something else I got in the mail the other day. I've never opened one of these up, and I'm curious. This is a Catholic Bible. I was going to sleep the other night, and I was watching some YouTube, and I was watching some Jesus stuff, and I seen this thing about hidden books of the Bible. So there's like, I don't know how many more books, but there's, I'm gonna say there's at least 6 books in this that's not in this. I think the book of Enoch's in there. I'm hoping it is. If not, then it's going to be in the Ethiopian Bible. The Ethiopian Bible has whatever this number is. It's almost double that number in that Bible. I'm going to start with this one and read the books that I have not ever read, because I've read pretty much all the books in this one, and just see what gets out of it. I don't know. It's a little confusing to know that there's more books that's like these other Bibles have more, and so I'm just trying to open my mind to that. So I don't know if I'll do any lessons out of them books, but who knows, I may, because this says the Holy Bible too. It says the Holy Bible just like this book says it, so I don't know. I'm not a Catholic, and I don't want to get into any of that. I've been to a couple Catholic churches, and maybe there's some stuff in here though. Maybe there's some stuff, maybe I'll get converted, I don't know. But I know they do stuff different, and it may be because of these books that's in here. So, I'm willing to learn, God. I'm willing to give stuff, stuff chances. Look at these orchids. These orchids are so pretty. I bought these things for myself last week. I used to keep fresh flowers on the table all the time. There was a lady in the neighborhood thought I was gay because I did it. I'm not gay. I never want to be gay. But it's nice to have fresh flowers on the table. Y'all have a blessed night. Thank you and God bless.